Mike Klein and I debate what Saddam Hussein's chess set might have really been used for, while FIDE and Aegon announce a rather curious early wildcard for the candidates. We have a new second youngest grandmaster in the history of the game, 8 new teams qualified for the Pro Chess League, 3 players moving on in the Speed Chess Championship. It's the show that's got enough for you to put the kids to bed early and grab the Gardettos. ChessCenter starts right now. And so came October and then November, and with it, a whole bunch of action in the world of online chess. Here to tell us about it is Peter Dockers.
Hey Danny, yeah, October and the start of November was a very big month for the Chess.com Speed Chess Championship. We had 3 big matches, and just a few days ago it was the All-American battle between Hikaru Nakamura and Fabiano Caruana. And yeah, as expected, the favorite Nakamura, he won. The score was 17-10. He was extremely resourceful in many games, many positions as we know him. And Caruana, he didn't play that badly actually. Sometimes outplayed his opponent, but yeah, just made too many one-move blunders in this match to put up a real fight. And yeah, Nakamura's next opponent will be Sergey Karjakin, who won his match with an even bigger score. He beat his compatriot Jan Nepomniachtchi with 20-10. Karjakin was just, especially at the start, extremely good form. He played very accurately, didn't make any blunders. And his first 10 games, for example, he went 9-1, which was kind of a record. And what was also nice is that Alexander Grishuk was watching the match on Chess.com. He was actually playing guess the moves and won in one of the games by predicting 33 out of 45 moves.
Well, not only was Sasha Grishik in the chat trying to play better than his countrymen, he won a match of his own in October too.
Yeah, indeed. It was actually the day before that Alexander Grishuk defeated MVL in his match. 16-13 was that score, so that was the closest score of the 3 matches that we're talking about today, and it was, as you can say, the first sort of upset in our history of speed chess and blitz battles on chess.com, because it was the first time that someone with a FIDE rating lower than his opponent won the match. Although it must be said that Grishuk, of course, is a 3-time world blitz champion, so a real upset you can't call it. And yeah, from this match we take away one brilliant attacking game by Grishuk, which you should definitely check out in the news report.
You know the move of the month has to start with a bit of fun whenever me and Simon Williams have the call. Now, before the Ginger GM tells you, why don't all of you guess at home exactly what Black did to try to get this rook on A8 involved in this endgame?
Yeah, this is a really wacky idea, Danny, and a lot of people say I'm a bit of a wacky chess player, so we have to start this one, Danny. And in this position, Black now plays castles queenside. And I love this idea because it's an ending. There's only rooks on the board, and he castles to get that rook in the game. And now you can see those rooks really working. And with good technique, David Howe, good friend of mine, goes on to win this game in good style.
Pretty clear from here, the technique that he implied, and once the H-pawn gets rolling, White knew he was in trouble. Now, that's a great and fun way to start the Move of the Month segment, but no game this month, or maybe even this year, can come close to the brilliancy that Ding Liren displayed. This game was so sexy, Simon, we're not even starting with the queen sack. We're starting with the move on the board right now. Tell everybody what Ding Liren played to launch the mating net further.
This was unbelievable. Well, one of the best games of chess I've ever seen. And I've seen a lot of games. And here, Black plays the stunning move, rook to d4, right into White's pork pies. Eyes. Cockney rhyming slang there. Don't ask me about it. But, you know, it's just what we do in England sometimes, Danny. But the idea of this rook d4, Danny, is if White takes the rook, we can see that Black is going to win his queen back with, invested material. And the rook d4 move also threatens pawn to g4 with checkmate coming up. So a lovely idea, but it doesn't stop there. White now plays h3, controlling g4. Black plays h5, renewing the threat. Bishop to h2, making the g3 square available for the king. g4 check anyway. And now king g3, and this is another beautiful punch from Black here, right in those pork pies. Rook to d2. What do you think of that one, Danny?
It's just fascinating. Once again, we see everybody, the rook is poisoned unless white just wants to play an endgame down a piece. But the problem now is that if the queen's not going to take the rook, she has to release protection of this square, which means this knight will get involved with check on the king. And if you haven't seen this game, you have to back up and go find Ding Liren's brilliant victory. Go over it a few times from start to finish. Now, something that you and I had the call on from start to finish was our final move of the month. Here, Hikaru Nakamura maybe doesn't have quite the brilliant chance that Ding Liren did, but this is a pretty fancy mate that he could have snared Fabian Caruana's king in. Tell everybody what black should have played.
That's right. In this position, very complex. And okay, it was one of the speed chess games. Black did not play this, but he could have played queen takes d7. And instead of bishop to f1, the move played in the game. And the idea behind this is that after e6, which looks completely crushing, queen to d4, and again it's that d4 square that comes into play, just like the last example. The point is, after pawn takes queen, say goodbye to the queen, we can now play rook takes b2, eliminating a very strong attacking piece. And after, say, queen takes b2, we now play bishop to f1, and we've created a beautiful checkmate net around that white king. And white only has one spike check, but that's not going to get him anywhere. So could have been a very beautiful game there, Danny.
Surprising and kind of strangely timed information coming from Aegon to end the month.
Yeah, indeed. It was big news at the end of October when World Chess announced that Vladimir Kramnik is getting a wild card for the Candidates Tournament in March in Berlin. This means that we now have 5 participants who are surely going to play. It's Levon Aronian and Ding Liren from the World Cup, Sergey Karjakin as the loser of the last title match, Vladimir Kramnik as the wild card, and then also Fabiano Caruana and Wesley So, who officially haven't qualified yet, but they cannot be surpassed anymore by any other players in the fight for qualifying by rating. It's always a bit unclear how these wildcards are chosen. Well, the last time it was clear actually, because Levon Aronian was picked because of an Armenian sponsor. And in fact, this time it might be the case that the Russian Chess Federation, or actually its president Andrei Filatov, was involved. Filatov is also a known entrepreneur and a billionaire. And he was extensively quoted in the press release about Kramnik's wildcard, and saying that he was very happy that there is a Russian participant and there might be another Russian participant from the Grand Prix. So yeah, I don't rule out that he might have sponsored something in the background.
Gotta love Russians helping Russians, but you mentioned Sergey and Big Vlad. Who else was there?
Yeah, besides Sergey Karjakin, that other Russian participant might be Alexander Grishuk, who is currently in second place in the standings of the overall Grand Prix. Shahryar Mamediarov is leading, and those 2 players, they have a good chance, of course, to qualify, but they will not play in the final Grand Prix in November. 2 more players have a chance to surpass them, and that is Maxime Pagé-Legrave and Teimour Radjabov. So it's a fight between these 4 players, but only the last 2 are actually playing chess in November, and yeah, we'll see who ends up among the first 2 places and will be the last 2 players to qualify for those candidates.
The third best thing to happen in the last month of chess, Anna, was that the Pro Chess League qualifier went down and 6 teams made their way through a monstrously difficult field to qualify for the 2018 season. They were the Armenia Eagles, the Estonia Horses, the Seattle Sluggers, the Canggu Pandas, the Australia Kangaroos, and the Mumbai Movers. Congrats to all of them.
The second place goes to Nodirbek Abdusattorov from Uzbekistan, who becomes the second youngest grandmaster in history at the age of 13 years, 1 month and 11 days.
Amazing accomplishment there, but also an amazing accomplishment for Team Azerbaijan was winning the European team gold. Although the question is whether they did it the right way, Anna. Let's move on to the worst.
That's right, Danny. Even though Azerbaijan won the gold, there seems to be some kind of a controversy, maybe prearranged draws regarding the last round, and we all wish there was no such thing in chess.
Definitely unfortunate. I'll tell you what else is unfortunate is that FIDE apparently doesn't want Kirsan Ilyumzhinov back. They've made that clear in a board meeting, but they haven't recommended a candidate to replace him, and it's leading to perhaps even more disarray than when Kirsan was at the top. FIDE in shambles, so they take our second worst thing to happen in the last month of chess.
The saddest moment of the last month of chess is certainly Mr. William Lombardi passing away at the age of 79. He was a good friend and a trainer of Bobby Fischer. We will miss him.
With Blunder of the Month, we go right back to that speed chess match between Hikaru Nakamura and Fabiano Caruana, but this was yet another unhappy ending here for the Italian-American. Tell everybody how Fabi blew what was a pretty dead-drawn rook ending in one single move.
That's right. In this position, he played rook to b6. And again, moves like this give all of us hope that such a top player can play such a slack move. But okay, it's speed chess. We'll go a bit easy on him. The point is, now white plays c4 check, forcing the king backwards. Actually, black resigned, but after the king does go backwards, white takes on g6, swaps the rooks off, and gets a very easily winning king and pawn ending. So, yeah, a bit of a miserable blunder there from Fabiano.
Yep, just about any other rook move is probably safe. Our second blunder, not quite as big as Fabiano's, comes from Mr. Blue Bomb, who was playing at the European Team Championship. He had a simple choice, Simon, put the king on h1 or f1, but this time he did not choose wisely. Tell everybody what he played.
I know, this 50-50 choice went a little bit wrong, and I think Blue Bomb probably had a bit of a blue bottom after this one. When he played king to f1, the king should have gone to h1. The problem here is, watch those black bishops. Bishop to e6. And this bishop move threatens checkmate with bishop to h3. And now, after pawn takes e3, the other bishop sneaks its way around, bishop to d8. And that bishop is also coming to h4. And here, there's nothing really that white can do to stop the bishop h3 and bishop to h4 idea. Black goes a piece up, and he goes on to win the game, when he really shouldn't have if white had played king to h1.
Our final blunder is almost on the level of, I don't, you know where I'm going with this, almost on the level of the only man who could make blunders like this, we thought. That's Simon Williams versus Ben Feingold. Not a single blunder so far is as horrible as this one, Simon, but I bet you can relate here.
Thanks, Danny. That was very kind of you to build it up like that. I have set the benchmark incredibly high for blunders, but at least it's good to see that people are having a go at getting to that benchmark.
Yep.
And this is one case, Danny, where white has a good go with the move queen to f5. And, well, can you see the answer here, boys and girls? Knight to d4 check. And a very embarrassing moment there for white.
People get to choose their own opponents now, too. Mike, what's going on in the chess world today?
I don't know, Danny. I mean, they don't like random pairings. They don't like Ho Yifan's pairings. They're probably not going to like players picking their own opponents. Sometimes you just can't please the chess masses. But speaking of picking your own pairings, the showdown in St. Louis, the players did get to pick their opponent. Who do you think picked the toughest matchup?
A lot of people are looking at Grishik as the toughest opponent, but I'm going to say that Magnus Carlsen may have bitten off more than he could chew in Dingley Ren. I'm going to watch that match closely. Speaking of weird tournament seedings, though, does anybody else find it odd that FIDE/Aegon has already given the wildcard nod to Kramnik for the candidates, despite the Grand Prix not even being finished yet?
It's weird to me, too. If the Grand Prix finishes with Radjabov and MVL having great events, they'll actually push Mamedyarov out of the candidates, and as of about 48 hours ago, he was world number 2. Seems like they should have held off on that decision. Another strange decision, the U.S. government just returned to the Iraqi government the late Saddam Hussein's chess set. Danny, how many corrupt deals do you think went down over that board?
I'm going to place the over-under at about 7, maybe 7.5 if I'm really in my Vegas mindset. Speaking of entertainment, though, a New York City hustler claims to have beaten Hikaru Nakamura's fiancée Maria while the late William Lombardi sang out move suggestions in song. I believe the story. I just want to know, what tune was Lombardi singing to?
No idea, but he probably aims to please the ladies. She's Italian. I'm going to guess some sort of operatic number. We'll investigate. And also, staying on the topic of music, we found out that Hikaru Nakamura made the decision to listen to The Offspring on repeat in his match win against Caruana. What do you make of that decision?
I was as shocked as anybody in that post-match interview, and I'll just speak for both of us and say that The Offspring hasn't been on either one of our playlists since we were making questionable decisions in high school. The third most exciting moment from the last month of chess was that the Pro Chess League qualifier brought together hundreds of very strong chess players, and 6 teams made it there. I don't know why I hate the way I'm saying this. Let's redo. The third best thing to happen during the month of October was that the Pro Chess League qualifier went down, and 6 teams, I just held up wrong 6, so I'm going to do that again because you can't see.
Oh, wow.
That looked really coordinated. Good job, Danny. Okay, redo.
The third worst moment of the year. Sorry, I was like, of what month?
The third
We're
worst
talking
moment
about
of 1 month.
October.